for this undertaking, let's first invoke the blessing of the Almighty. Is there anybody here from the Hillsborough Ministerial Alliance today? Hearing none, can I ask you to give us a absolutely, please?
Heavenly Father, thank you for your love, your grace, your mercy, and the sacrifice of your Son for our sins. Lord, just watch over us, give us wisdom and discernment as we conduct the business of Hill County. Help us to keep you in our hearts and our minds with all of our decisions. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you follow the pledge of America, you take the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty for all. I protect the flag and pledge allegiance to the flag. One state under God, one and indivisible. All right, thank you all for being with us here this morning. I appreciate it. Lovely day. It's only 73 degrees outside. Either this watch of wine or this jacket's hotter than I thought it was. Either way, Mr. Lake, what's going on in precinct 4 Hill County this morning?
We're hauling some ground together, take up the trees that will be in problem for the school buses, so we're trying to chop them up this morning.
School buses or the trees?
But they kept giving us a road number that didn't exist, so it's all part of
That is difficult to do so.
we're making somebody happy.
Hopefully, good deal. Commissioner Hawkins, what's happening in precinct 3?
Oh, well, our Ash Creek Solar Farm kicked off last week, so.
I got some notification of that, but not from them. Lowe's.
So we're starting to deal with that and, patching some mud holes that showed up top in this past rain. We missed the rain the other night.
Did you?
Yes,
Oh,
so,
wow.
missed out on that, but we had some mud holes show up in the previous rain, so we've been working on those. Been running brush cutter, cleaning up some stuff.
Oh, good deal. Commissioner Crumpton, what's up in precinct 2?
Well, like I said, the solar system was cranked up last Friday. We were trying to haul some rock and there were 3 different solar systems hauling rock. They said there was over 100 trucks running.
This morning on 1304, I bet there was close to 60.
It was taking that over an hour to get loaded, so pulled them off that and they would go pack potholes.
That's what benefits the stockpile rock.
Where are you loading
all the stuff.
Where are you looking at it, Tom?
Connors. And so we went back to shredding. I borrowed a couple of shredders from Scotty. So I've got 3 shredders running yesterday and today to try to get caught up on that.
Good deal.
But
Is your shredder tractor, boom tractor still down?
it's still down, they can't find the parts for it.
That's not surprising, unfortunately.
They're still looking. Hopefully, they can find the parts. They've got to.
I hope it's better than the sheriff's office. How long was that van? Like 6 months before they found you a motor? 8. Forgive me, I was off a little bit there. My apologies. Didn't mean to exaggerate.
To replace that machine is going to cost over $200. So I'm trying to put that on,
Yeah, I can imagine so.
but we should move along.
Good deal. Commissioner Holcomb, what's that in precinct 1?
Well, we are putting some ray grind down today for the second time on 1236. Well, we put it down and as the speed demons would have it, they rippled it up in 4 days.
4
days. Yeah, so we went from 1713 all the way down to where it turns dry.
Okay.
So we're oiling that today and reworking it back into the road. We're gonna roll it and keep our fingers crossed.
I think it.
Yeah, that's just an invitation to see if you can hit 70. Yeah, it's
So it's in my breath.
you do.
I don't.
I'm not gonna say.
The jokes make themselves here.
All right. Then what's happening in emergency management today, Frank?
Still chasing the fire, Greg.
Yeah, I'm thinking really.
I mean, it just, you think with the rain that we've had, it wouldn't be a problem, but. I mean, we had enough rain the other night at that state park fire that it was a little bit difficult. If you didn't have a 4-wheel drive truck, you wasn't going in there, but. it'll still burn.
Yeah, so that's one of my fears. You gave me an update earlier on the communication project. Next week, Bruce will be here to start
That'll
that
be tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Next week will be here tomorrow and start, and they will have crews at every tower.
Mhm.
And they will replace all of the communication links at one time. There will be some radio interruption tomorrow. We'll try to keep it to a minimum, but. You gotta take one down and put one up.
Fair enough. Are they gonna start on the link from Hall Street over to 218 North Waco?
That's the first.
Okay, so that'll be- once that comes up, it'll minimize downtime. Good, good, go ahead and thanks for telling me that. What's happening? Yeah, sure.
Hey, Jay, we've got continuing functions going on, but I want to take just a second to give some acknowledgements to Henry and IT.
Oh, yeah.
We've got the RC upgrade coming up on Saturday, October the 7th. We're going to attend a hearing. We've got AL, the Tyler Technologies, where RC is going to be down and go to jail for the effective, should have move on that. But Henry has really been, to the extent that you can hold Tyler's feet to the fire,
To the extent.
he's really been extremely thorough in the testing, in the test environment to try to make sure that hopefully all potential hiccups can be avoided. So I don't want to get into a little knowledge.
Yeah, he does such a good job, so we really appreciate everything Henry does to the county, so thank you. Chief, what happened in the sheriff's office?
Not too much here lately, so hovering around 120 in the jail, which is good.
Yeah, that's a nice low number.
We've got one inmate that was at Hill Regional and now has been transferred yesterday to the hospital in the Lancaster area, so.
Okay. Let me guess, felony.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's one weekend.
Yeah.
So other than that, just. But
All right, good to hear. Hey, Ms. Rachel Parker, what's happening in the treasurer's office?
The invoices need to be turned in as quickly as possible, so the auditor and myself can close our review. We have, comp buyout coming up in 2 weeks.
Yep.
We have payroll increases, and the elected officials have not had any wage forms, I'll give those back quickly. We do need to listen to the report.
I got Phillips to you yesterday. I sent it a couple times, didn't show up. I took it personally yesterday.
And if you do that day.
Yeah,
So,
good to hear. Hey, Sab, how are you this morning?
Same here, which is kind of revenue fiscal year, going forward to the next, and we have JP with the report. They're interested because they come out of project funds to the state of each. So we're thinking of that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ricky Brooks, what do you got going on this morning?
Got livestock earlier. It's cattle.
Wasn't on mine, right?
No,
Oh, we're good. I'm guessing.
got the owner found, he got it back.
Wonderful. You do a great job, boys. Appreciate it. Anything from ESD number 1 today?
I'll just echo what Tom said.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I've got, on my side of the floor, I've got an 8-foot rate coming, that's come in this weekend.
You must be living clean. You got rain yesterday afternoon.
I didn't get that, I got a shower,
Yeah,
just enough I could see that it was wet. My comments is that the burn ban is still on.
we'll get to it on the agenda and we'll talk about that.
Okay,
Hang tight with us. We'll get to it.
okay, because if we don't get some rain, we are in trouble.
Brief, so.
And what Tom echoed about the big trucks and everything else, it's a problem that we have. They bury down in this, and it doesn't take but just a little bit of moisture to have it stop.
Exactly.
So
Good deal. Well, I'd ask the folks, Marguerite, but you guys are number 7 on the agenda, so we'll get all the updates we can from y'all. We'll move things along real quick. Anything on the hospital side?
No, sir. Trying to get all this church up and running and put in the right spot.
Good to hear. So this is the last week that we have the Franklin Street building. If you still have stuff over there and those at home know who you are, get it out, because I'm not going to advocate for you after next week. I'm not looking at you. Anyway, we found some other stuff in the walkthrough part this afternoon after court. I got to go with Lucio. We're taking care of the last of the junk over there. Gentlemen, we have put filing cabinets out for bid on 2 occasions. I've had no takers. And so I informed the county attorney yesterday, I'm going to take these things to Frank's and we'll start recycling them. When I say I've got filing cabinets, I don't mean I got a couple of filing cabinets. I think between 3 different tiny homes, we found over 80 filing cabinets now.
They're junk, and some of them are actually got critters in them, I think, at this point. And I don't want to sit there any longer where I'm going to do either a historical or environmental survey. They need to go. So that's on the list of things I've got. Covington Street is coming along. The Child Access Center will be moving into their offices this week. They got 2 doors that showed up. As you know, 2 weeks ago, the doors were pushed back to October 5th. We expect to have those doors. Children, I just spent $3,700 on children number 2. And quite frankly, I could spend another $10,000 on children number 1, but we're not going to as the days are getting closer. We had to replace a condenser fan and one of the cooling fans, one of the circuits in chiller 2. And chiller 1, we've got a coil out, so only 2/3 of the chillers work. We've got some other issues. We're limping these things along now until the new chillers show up. I don't want to put $10,000 in these current beasts, and that's just money I feel like we're throwing out. That being said, if it fails completely and it's a hot day like it's continued to be in the 90s, in October here coming up, I might not have a choice, but the game plan right now is we can keep it running, limping along. I'm going to do that until the new ones show up, try to preserve capital. Other odds and ends we've got, we hope that by October 31st to turn the Covington Street building over. Tom informed you about the links that are going up. That's it's rather pleasant to know. And we're working on the subdivision rules behind the scenes. We really need to get those out to you guys in the next couple of weeks, get for us the committee so we can start looking on approving those before January 1. There's a few minor changes that's going to happen from state law as of the January 1 mark. It's more of a instead of without may, it's without shall. But I want to get that corrected and modified to get that in place. The other thing is working with Commissioner Holcomb regarding a culvert setting policy. And also we're working with the development committee to deal with short-term rental policy. We're having some issues with this Airbnb stuff. And we need to do what we can to help out where we can. Otherwise, from this seat, it's really been playing clean up at the end of the fiscal year, making sure that we've got everything accounted for. If you guys have got questions or need me, call. Otherwise, we're going to move right into our agenda today. So at this time, it's open forum. If there's anybody here that speak to the court about an item that's not on our agenda or an item that is on our agenda, this is your opportunity to speak to the court. If you wish, please do so. If I ask, as we respect you, please show respect to the court and please limit your comments to about 3 to 5 minutes in duration. Floor is open. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just wanted to take a moment that there's been a change in hands that Casper PD.
Oh, good.
This is
Okay,
new
for that.
chief of police, and then
What's his name?
the city, Richard.
Mr. Aiken, thank you. Welcome aboard.
And he comes from Grandview previously.
Okay.
We've had a good positive conversation with him, as well as the city administrator, and we're looking forward to more open interactions between the two agencies.
I think that's great, and I'm wholeheartedly looking forward to working with you and your organization, and welcome into the family. So
We've been missing that a long time. Sorry,
that's all right. It comes and goes around this town, and nobody gets paid very easy. So
we all learn.
yeah, I know that we accomplish more together than we do separately. So
Yes,
From a law enforcement community, we appreciate that.
yeah.
thank you.
No doubt. I'm guessing that we're gonna have some radio agreements coming forward, stuff like that, or is that stuff we're still talking about?
Say again, I'm sorry.
Radio use agreements in the local scenes. Okay, good deal. We'll keep an eye out for that. Appreciate it. All right, anybody else looking for? Okay, we're gonna move along in. This morning's first open consent agenda. I know I misnumbered that. I should fix that. So the consent agenda of action of minutes, which the county clerk has provided, you have action on invoices, payroll, monthly report, revenue disbursement, and observed report elected official trainings. On the payroll and revenue disbursement, you received emails from Ms. Julie up in the treasurer's office for your review. If there's any pronouncements, questions, anything along those lines, let me know. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any corrections, deletions, stipulations, or otherwise commentary? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion shall carry unanimously. And we're out of here. Read that. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, sir. All right, let's go ahead and get the payroll. Oh, it's a nice pen. I don't steal it on this. All right, moving along into our court orders is our discuss and approved employee wage status changes. We have employee wage status changes for the 26th day of September 2023. We have some folks that have moved on, greener pastures, Shannon Mahan from Hill County SO. And I don't want to tell personal things, but she's going to New Mexico, in certain parts of New Mexico right now. I would love to be in to get away from this heat. So, a little jealous there. But we wish her the best. Deborah Rawson has moved on from district clerk's office. Lindsay Blanchard moved on from the auditor's office. We have new hires, my fingers at work, and a Sherry Martin and maintenance department gentleman. This is a part-time employee to start helping out over at the Covington Street Annex. We know for many, many years, Miss Regina has handled that by herself, but she had about a third of the building with storage and about 2/3 of the building with people. Now we got some of our busiest offices over there, and she's doing her darndest to clean up. She also takes care of juvenile probation, which is the old Harris School. And she's still, she comes over, she takes care of the Agri-Life place. She's been doing all this by herself.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a trooper, but she's been great. So we have a full-time position in there. We're starting it off part-time to see how this works out. And then through a probationary period that you have to be determined, we will come back before this board with consideration whether this needs to be moved to full-time or not. But our goal is to try to give Ms. Regina some help, knowing that she needs it. So, but anyway, these are employee wage status changes for this day. Motion to approve. Is there a second? Yes, there was. Any further commentary, discussion on the action item? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Number 2 in court orders is discussion action on bonds. We have bonds for Ms. Reagan McCurley over at the CSCD adult probation. And then further, we have a public employees blanket bond for, well, they got the auditor wrong. We'll have to fix that. But outside of that, this county clerk and district clerk, I don't think it's going to matter the name of the auditor. It matters. I like you, but that's not the point. I was just rereading both of them. But yeah, we have blanket bonds for the county clerk and the district clerk for their public officials bonds. We further have a bond for the DA's office, the Hill County District Attorney's investigator, Mr. Porter West. Those are the bonds for today.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion is second to approve the aforementioned bonds. Any questions regarding those bonds? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, any abstentions? The ayes have it and there's no. Okay, that moves on to number 3, which is at this time, we're going to have a public hearing with Hill County's intent to enter into a tax abatement agreement with OCI Solar LLC relating to solar energy storage, generation, and transmission equipment. You gentlemen will remember that previously we created a reinvestment zone for this proposed project. It has gone out and been noticed and approved for that reinvestment zone in proper order. So at this time, is there anybody here to speak on Hill County's intent to enter into a tax abatement agreement with OCI Solar LLC? Or against, I'll take it. If you just ambivalent, I'm okay with that too. Whatever you got. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. You guys don't have any questions?
Unfortunately, about 3 or 4 years ago, we would have had lots of questions. Now we feel like we don't have, I feel like we don't have as many unanswered questions. I'm gonna give it like 2 minutes, so the record reflects that we got a public hearing. I don't think anybody's gonna come screeching around the corner at the last second screaming done, but it might. I've not been here for one of those yet, apparently.
You gotta be here for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a technically public hearing.
You've got 20 seconds to say whatever you want to.
20 seconds.
I think that's what you said, wasn't it? I think that's what you said. Something like that.
That seems very open to me. All right, well, if there's nobody for commentary on a public hearing on OCI Solar, I'm going to move that we close the public hearing. Is there a second to that motion to close the public hearing? Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. That brings us to number 4, which is discussion and possible action on approval of a tax abatement agreement between Hill County, Texas and OCI Solar LLC. Gentlemen, in front of you, you have the form of that agreement, and the form of that agreement has been modified from our previous ones, mostly because Commissioner Jim Holcomb was good enough to point out that there was a secondary interpretation of possible, our setback agreement. So that has been clarified. I thank Mr. Dixon for getting that. That was in, section 14.20. It speaks about setbacks, specifically around residential property. And if the county grant, provide a natural barrier for use and method approved by the Commissioners Court of Grant. So what I'm getting at is there's some language in here of setback from property owners' homes and residences. And there's some language in here as well for a screen. We didn't specify what type of visual barrier, just a visual barrier, because there's some places out on the hill that a green screen probably ain't gonna work, but you got about 2 inches of topsoil open here in bedrock. So that might be something different. But anyway, those are the major changes to previous minute. If there are any questions or commentary on this agreement? All right, I'm not hearing any commentary or questions regarding the tax abatement agreement with OCI Solar. So at this time, I'll ask, is there a motion to approve the tax abatement agreement between OCI Solar and Texas?
I'll make a motion.
Motion and second to approve foregoing aforementioned tax abatement agreement between OCI Solar, OCI Hillsborough Solar LLC, the owner of Hill County, Texas. Any further discussion on this? I'm hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Any abstentions? Let the recorded vote is 4 in favor, 1 against, Commissioner Holcomb, and the motion will pass. So thank you very much, and we'll get this signed in a minute. Number 2 down here is we have a second hearing today, and the first item on it, again, is going to be a public hearing. So public hearing of Hill County's intent to enter a tax abatement agreement with 3W Solar LLC relating to solar energy generation, storage, and transmission equipment. At this time, I open this public meeting for commentary of Hill County's intent to enter into a tax abatement agreement with 3W Solar. 3W is the project that's going to happen out here west of town, north of 22, south of Woodbury. That's about the best direction I can give you to it, I guess, off the top of my head. It's an awkward silence, particularly if it's weird in this room, because rarely there's anybody for a lack of words. But we're trying to give it a second, so we said we did it. And if somebody actually has a concern, we'd love to address it or talk about it, or at least hear the question. All right. I'm not hearing any public commentary. If there's no public commentary, I make one last call for it. Hearing none, I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Ayes have it, those know it. That leads us to number 6, which is discussion and possible action on approval of tax abatement agreement between Hill County, Texas and 3W Solar LLC. Again, we have before us a tax abatement agreement, hefty document. We don't negotiate on FM lateral, so you guys see the full benefit of that. As you saw in this last year's budget, the amount of money that went into your FM lateral funds for road construction only was, quite frankly, historical and all-time record. But again, along with that comes the fact that we're maintaining more roads. We have a road use agreement in this abatement, just like we do in the rest of them, and language we've seen in others as well. You'll notice that this is kind of one of the smaller ones we've looked at. I think we see more of these projects going this way nowadays. But anyway, so this is what we have. Is there a motion to, is there a motion to approve tax abatement agreement between 3W Solar LLC and Hill County, Texas?
Make a motion. Second.
Motion to second. Is there any discussion on the motion that's been made in session?
Is there a
Yes, sir.
road use agreement?
Yes, sir. It's going to start, it's mentioned on page 16, but it starts here on exhibit C, which is road use agreement 15, page 15.
Okay.
If there's no further discussion, in which case I'm going to call for a question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Let the record reflect that it's 4 in favor, 1 against. With you, Commissioner Holcomb, and the motion will carry. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. All right, moving along to number 7 this morning, which is presentation of Agri-Life on annual Commissioner's Court interpretation presentation. I could have worded that better, but it was Friday, and I'm trying to get out of here, so I'm just gonna take me a couple on that one. What that mean, Mr. Zachary?
Not much, how are y'all?
Doing good, sir.
I will be the stand-in for Dr. Kelm or our previous district administrator. As you know, Judge, he's gone on to the bigger and better things and as the director of county operations.
For the state, correct?
For the state, yes, sir. So
I'm really impressed with him.
he went from managing 21 counties to having a hand in all 254 counties. Quite an undertaking, but certainly set up and good man for that job.
Nice guy.
So I probably won't be as thorough as he has been in the past, but as you know, he likes to highlight something from our 21 county district from District 8. And so this year it was agriculture. So you can see there the various programs and the number of attendees across the district and animal agriculture, crop and water and applicator trainings, and then moving over to horticulture and ag literacy and so forth. Quite a few folks reached through programs across the district. Our numbers are included in those totals there as well. If you flip to the backside, and I know it gets really small, they give us this little one sheet to fit 4 folks information on there, and so we do our best to crank it in there and strain your eyes a little bit. But on the ag side, these are programs that the top part programs that Tyler assisted with as well. But like the Blackland Income Growth Conference down in Waco, we're a part of. The grain and cotton sessions there, oxen trainings that are required for producers to have to be able to spray oxen herbicides over the top of cotton. The appreciation dinner that we do here always garners a big crowd. Then the week tour, 72 individuals came to learn about wheat production here in the county and look at what well, actually, we didn't get to go look at those trials. We were fortunate to have some rain at that time of year. But then we move over down into the warm season crops and the crop tour. 77 individuals got to enjoy the air conditioning at the exhibit building, and certainly appreciative of that when it was 115, I think, on the 9th of June. So, and then the feral hog abatement and bounty program there, in this past fiscal year, to date, we harvested or tracked the harvest of 444 hogs. And I know that sounds low. Weather is very much to do with that.
I want to talk about that.
Hogs are not having to move.
Yeah, we haven't seen the signs on our farms like we were last year or the year before.
So I think if and when it starts to rain, we'll see those hogs move about. It's been some blasted hot that they're going to hole up in those locations where there's trees and water to maintain their body temperatures. So that's my reasoning for those lower numbers this year. But to date, since 2014, we've tracked the harvest of 11,036 hogs in that program. So it has made an impact and continues to do so. We've got our training scheduled for October and November, 3 in October and 1 in November to get folks signed up for that program. Moving into the livestock and forage side, we were part of a multi-county hair sheep program. Those have become pretty popular with smaller acreage type producers. Central Texas Stocker Cattle Program, we had 122 at that, 90 at our summer beef cattle management program, and then we've trained applicators to be able to apply state limited and restricted use herbicides here in the county. Had 2 of those this past year. The master gardeners and the horticultural program here continues to be a pretty popular deal. We've got 30 volunteers that contribute 800 plus hours back to the county, and that's an extension of me and kind of frees me up to do some other things. So certainly appreciate them Pecans Field Day, we had 55 come to that down at Russell Pecan. And then a wine grape program that we do, we had 80 involved in that. Then our Master Gardeners are doing a monthly educational series where we've got an average of 20 to 22 folks that attend that deal. So getting information out that way. Angie Norris, our 4-H agent, gets to work with one of our most precious commodities, our youth, and try and steer them in the right direction and make good citizens out of them through our 4-H program. So we've got 13 4-H clubs here in Hill County, involved in 260 members in those programs, with 218 direct or indirect youth and adult volunteers. So that program continues to grow. New subject matter and project areas are continuing to come down the pipe. And so Angie gets to work with those. We're fortunate that here in District 8, we've got some kids that have taken some leadership roles on higher levels. And so we've got one District 8 council officer, one person, but one of our members is on the Texas 4-H shooting sports team. And then we've got a Texas 4-H water ambassador too. So those folks have stepped out of Hill County a little bit and are seeing different things and bringing that back to the county as well. Hatching in the Classroom continues to reach, a lot of kids. This past year, we had 1,200 pre-K through third graders attend those programs. Water education continues to be a big hit. As we know, that's another precious commodity that is going away to some degree. But 388 attended those programs. The Youth Ag Tour was this summer again, where those young kids get to see various aspects of agriculture and things they may not think of being involved in agriculture. Ag Awareness Day, trying to teach the fourth graders where their food comes from, with so many kids being removed from the farms and ranches and so forth. And so we had 226 attend that deal. And that's in conjunction with Hill County Farm Bureau Board of Directors there. So we had 3 record books submitted, 36 youth attended leadership camps this summer. 385 youth and 39 adult volunteers participated in summer workshops throughout the summer. So it's great. Excuse me. Moving over to our family and community health section, Rachel works with that program and has trained individuals on food preservation. 23 folks attended that, working with diabetes. She's done classes that are 4-week cooking programs here in the county with 13 participants at those deals. One real big hit was a Taste of the Mediterranean, which is a 1-day cooking workshop for healthy and chronic disease prevention, kind of following the Mediterranean diet. I had 24 folks attend that deal. She's been involved in health expos, retail food safety certification courses have been held here in the county and in conjunction with other counties as well, with 70 participants there. Another big impact on the youth side that Rachel coordinated was It's Your Money, a youth financial literacy stimulation program. 262 kids from Hillsborough High School attended that. They're thrown into kind of real world. They get a job, they get a budget, and they have to go figure out how to spend that. And so that's a real world type situation there. Rachel also works with juvenile justice, working with their alternative education programs, teaching the same thing, the It's Your Money program, as well as Mindful Self. And she's had 15 graduates through that program. And so trying to help those kids out. Moving on to Tyler, and y'all know we're fortunate to have Tyler. Not every county gets an integrated pest management agent, so we're fortunate to have him here. Tyler does a really good job with his newsletter, published bi-weekly from March to August, with 141 people receiving that program, and so about 1,833 contacts thus far. Tyler coordinates a cotton scouting school to teach agribusiness folks and producers how to scout for cotton and what to be looking for. So he was a part of 3 of those. One of them that was held here in the county. And then Tyler also works with our producers who sign up acreage to be scouted, as you were talking about at the beginning there.
For those of us that don't have the time, we should put into our own fields. It's very helpful to have Taylor.
Right. So you can see there the wheat program, roughly 1,200 acres involved in that, 1,000 acres of cotton. And then he scouted 500 acres of corn this year. And so that's kind of a new crop to be scouting, but looking for fungus and various things in that. So, and then the last thing that we'll touch on this paper is Tyler and I try to coordinate a very robust research project, a program here in the county. And so we had 20 cooperators participate in 18 applied research projects throughout the county. 6 of those in wheat, 2 in corn, 8 in cotton, 1 in pasture. And then 1 looking at carbon sequestration and greenhouse emissions there. So certainly appreciate y'all's time and support. None of this would be possible without the support that y'all provide for us. And so we definitely appreciate that and look forward to a bright future working with y'all. I would be remiss if I didn't remind you that November 1st will be the District 8 Commissioners Conference. That this year will be held in Belton. The decision was made to kind of bounce that around instead of going to Waco every time, maybe get out and showcase District 8 a little bit. And so we're going to Belton this year. Information will come out on that in the near future, and I'll be sure you'll get an invitation to that where you can get registered if you want to. But I think we have the option to maybe post that in 2024 here in Hill County if we choose to do that or would like to do that. So the last thing that I'll tell you is we received an email on Friday that a new district extension administrator has been named for District 8. And so that's Jay Kingston. Jay was he's got 23 years of experience, was an agent in Kendall, Kent, Gillespie, and Parker County is the latest place he's at. And so coming with some good experience, I believe, and he will start October 16th. So great. I will get him over here to meet y'all whenever the time's right.
Look forward to meeting the gentleman, that's for sure. Guys, I can't say enough, Zach, your crew provides so much more than what I think a lot of people think when they think ag extension, agri-life is the actual name of it. And you look at the programs, they're doing everything from, dietitian programs to some of the things that you don't see as much people canning at home, safety issues for that. I'm just wildly impressed with what you 4 managed to accomplish on a daily basis. And I think this worksheet that you provided us, and I do need my glasses for this. Next time, let's put it on 2 sheets. It'll be okay. We'll pay the extra sheet. We'll be good. But that being said, thank you for all you guys do. Thank you for the service you provide Hill County. And I'm glad you do this presentation. I wish it was more often once a year, but I know you're busy. Just to let the rest of the county know that there's programs out here that you just couldn't imagine that are out here. And if you just take a few minutes to look, you can find all kinds of stuff. So Steve, guys, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And anything, we'll be around.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on then from our agri-life presentation to item number 8 on today's agenda. And item number 8 will be discussion and action on workers' comp renewal. What you have before is not the actual renewal, but more of a document that'll allow our workers' comp insurance provider to access our information to give us the numbers for the renewal. So nothing really different from previous years.
And Judge, we spend on average 26,000 every quarter writing out the workers' comp. They're estimating a 2% increase, also based on our number of employees. We also have to factor in overtime this year because of the. So I anticipate maybe 110,000 is what we'll.
And currently 105. Okay, so,
I should have numbers and I'll bring them back to the court. This is just going to go out to get it.
okay, good to know, good to know. Questions on it?
Make a motion approved.
Okay, have a motion second to approve. Is there any further discussion on the issue? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, the motion shall carry unanimously. And everybody else sign. And now, pages. Go, sir. And we're going to move on to number 9, discuss an action sheriff and constable fees. Late on, I heard nothing to this very moment, so I'm curious, what do you get at?
Our fees was 2022 adopted by Commissioner's Court for my stray fees.
Yes, sir.
There's 2 of them that I would like to increase.
Okay.
A return fee. Some people have cattle and don't have a cattle trailer to come pick their cattle up
Oh,
when we happen to impound.
okay.
Okay, so right now it's a $60 return fee. And if I have to go to Mount Palmer, Hubbard or Plum, it's not paying for the gas to get there to return the cattle.
Okay.
What I'm asking for is $100 for the first head, because sometimes we only have 1 head. And then $20, $25 additional head after that. And it could be if they have 15 cattle, I may make 3 different trips, because with an 18-foot trailer, I'm only getting 5 or 6 large cattle and 8 or 9 calves into that trailer. So I'm just asking for the increase on that as one of the options.
Gotcha.
So that would go from $100 to $25 per head after the initial first.
I'm not opposed to that.
And the second one is the daily boarding fee. It's currently $15.
Okay.
And then after 10 days, it drops down to $10 per head. There's nothing that we do that's any different. So I'm asking to retain that $15 all the way through until the cattle are gone, instead of dropping it off to $10 a head after the 10 days.
All right.
And that's the 2 things that I would like to increase.
Is 15 enough?
I was gonna ask you.
Well, there's other places that are charging 20, 25, but the going average rate is about $15 a day per head, and we're not trying to make a profit, but we're trying to make it fair on people that have to have their cattle impounded. And to give you a prime example, last week I impounded 22 head of cattle off the Ford property. They were coming up on Highway 22, the Towash Creek Bridge. We thought there were 2, then there were 5, then there were 7, then there were 9. It ended up being 22 that we ended up getting. The gentleman that owned those cattle.
You finally found him. Okay.
Well, after we had already impounded the cattle, I had the cowboys out there were putting up the portable pins, and he saw the portable pins and happened to stop by and say, "Are we picking up cattle?" They told him to come talk to me because I was unloading the cattle at the sheriff's office at stray pins. And for 1 day, it cost him $2,030 to get his own cattle back. I do not like to do that, but if I don't have an owner or can't locate an owner and they're getting out on the highway, we have to do that. So
Agreed. Yeah. I mean,
would go a long way towards fences.
exactly. Because, everywhere in this county, you have the duty, everywhere in this county, except for Diner Valley, very end. Since 1903, the duty to fence your horses and cattle and mules off of county roads, FM roads, state highways, federal highways. And if the cows get out, you're responsible for it. And yes, sir.
It's in regards to what David Holmes said to the price of hay has gone up quite a bit.
I've heard stories.
Yes, so we have another cost that we're having to forego these things.
What are you guys paying for a round bell nowadays? Under 20?
80.
80? Can you get
Yeah.
a better deal? than
And
that?
it's not the best quality, but it will provide the cattle what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see the purpose in spending $150 on a load of hay.
We don't need horse quality hay, no.
It's not.
Okay. Well, I mean, so I haven't,
fees,
yeah, I don't know. I haven't had yardage fees in several years in any of the cell phones I operate with. So I don't know. I mean, if you're saying that's average and you're happy, I'll take your word for it. But if we need to go up, this is the time to have that discussion. I mean, obviously, we're at $15 a day until, what day is it now? It goes down to 10, day 10, day 5?
They 10, it goes down to $10 a day.
Yeah, but we don't get rid of that, just go 15 straight through. How often do we hold animals past 10 days?
Okay, what we do is I can't locate the owners.
Mhm.
I impound them. I post public notice on the website and also at the county courthouse. We have to hold them 18 days by state law.
Mhm.
And then after the 18 days, they go to the first auction.
Okay,
Cattle go to west, horses and goats go up to Cleveland.
correct, okay.
What does West charge on?
For your,
Per day.
I'm not sure what they charge because we don't really house them up there, so I don't know what their daily storage rate is.
hold on just a second, I got a job, I can text and let us know this real quick if there's an answer to it. Let's see.
All up there to sell, there's no charge.
Okay.
You sell your cattle, where does the money go?
I'm talking about yardage. They do charge me overnight or a couple of days. What's yardage at West? No. I'm not gonna get this, and maybe wait or whatever, we'll see.
18 anyway.
Make a motion.
Second.
I'd second it.
That's fair, and I don't have any problem with that, it's plenty enough.
And no tiered system, just.
Yeah, straight across, 20 days. Okay, you're good with this? Yes. Good, all right, there's a motion in a second to raise our yardage, our daily, whole brand, daily boarding fee, is what we're calling it on there, so use the right terminology, to $20 a day.
Okay, when does this go into there?
October 1.
October 1. Okay.
Yes, sir. October 1. So,
Okay.
because we
I
have,
have not hit it out there right now.
I think she corrected me, yeah, we have to have it reported by October 1st, it goes into effect January 1, I believe is what. Yeah, so.
Okay, I just need to know, because in case I impound cattle, which I'm sure I will, between now and the first of the year, at what rate do I need to charge? them?
15 to 10. right?
Until the first of the year.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank y'all very much.
January is what she said, she's correct, I got confused, we have to report it by October 1, it's not effective until January 1. Because we have to report it to the comptroller's office, so they can put the whole world on notice that this is what we're going to be changing fees, which is fair, it's the only fair thing to do. All right, so the two changes, we've got the sheriff and constable fees here, I've heard literally nothing else from anybody. Yeah, okay, so it's just those two changes. So we've got a motion to second. First, let's take these things in order. We have a motion to second on the table to increase the daily boarding fee to $20 per head per day across the board. And if that's the motion and second, is any further discussion on that? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Nobody extending. Then we go to the actual sheriff and constable's fees. What we're looking at here is adopting the exact same rates across all fees, with the exception of the aforementioned daily boarding fee and the return fee, which would be $100 for the first head and $20 per head thereafter.
20 or 25?
Was it 20?
Was it 20 or 25?
25.
25.
I wrote down 20, it's 25. All right, so that is my motion that we adopt the sheriff's and constable's fees to be the same as last year with two exceptions. The first being the aforementioned daily boarding fee increase to what we just proposed, and then the return fee being $100 for the first head and $25 for every head thereafter.
Second.
All right, motion in the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I shall call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion carries. That means that we move along to the number 10, discuss and do action to accept a check in the amount of $43,500 for road work to Hill County Road 4105. Yes. Okay. So
I don't think.
hold on. We got to jump through that. We have to actually name the person we're doing.
Now, let's phrase the motion as a donation, not a check.
Yes.
That's probably wise.
What is he paying for, materials or?
Yeah, we're gonna have to redo, we're doing some work on the road that just a junky dirt road and water run over it, so.
Okay.
We will need to clean the ditches up and put a few culverts in.
So he's paying for.
We're not gonna get switch out of this, but this will cover the main costs of stuff we have to buy.
So what's the entity or individual donating the money?
Who is it?
Yeah, we got to say that. Robert Martin. Okay, good deal. And it's just, he's the only one. And we've already got possession of the check.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. Good deal. All right, so I guess we'll make a motion to accept the donation from Mr. Robert Martin in the amount of $43,500 for road improvements of Mill County Road 4105. Okay, that is your motion. Second. And that is your second. Wonderful. Which gave it the motion in a second. Is there any further discussion on this particular donation? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Number 11, discussion of pre-final plat for Grandview Heights. You didn't bring it in? There's no action on that. That guy's starting to get under the skin. Number 12, discussion of preliminary plat for Martin subdivision. And while I tell you there's no action on this one, this guy has been a pest in his Grandview Heights. He has a problem on his plat. We need to correct it. It has a wrong statement. And he feels that somehow he has been, wronged by us for pointing out that we didn't see this earlier. But then he admitted he'd been aware of it the whole time and didn't point it out to us. These are the kind of developers that make this job difficult. This wasn't one of the things that we did when I got here all these years ago, but it's important we stay on top of these developers because it doesn't take long at all for things to go off the tracks. So the next one, like I said, number 12, I'm sorry, is the Martinez subdivision. This is just a little old 2-lot subdivision. And this is a preliminary plat. Now, all that being said, and I'll make the same statement I made in the development committee. While this plat, if we approve it, and it is recommended for your approval, they have 2 years to go to final construction. So that's 2 years to do the construction and apply for the final plat. The big issue on this one is this guy's got to bring in like 1,000 feet of 6-inch pipe for the water line for 2 little old lots. One lot that appears from the aerial photograph may already have a structure on it, and the second lot is about half the size of the first lot. So, they've done everything they need to do to qualify for a preliminary plat. But this little 3.466 acres, they're telling us, well, I'll read you Parker County Water Supply.
Where is that one located?
This is going to be up off of
1413,
I believe it's your side. So correct, because we had it misidentified as who the commission was. So yeah, Texas New Mexico Power. Well, let me get this Parker County Water. There we go. This says pursuant to the request, confirm the aforementioned property is located within the service area of Parker Water Supply Corporation. Parker Water Supply Corporation provides adequate water service to our customers according to the rules and regulations of the Texas Commission on Environmental Governing Chemical, Bacteriological Quality of Drinking Water. Parker Water Supply does have a water certificate of convenience and necessity granted by the Texas Water Commission. That's some old language. To serve the above referenced area. However, we have done hydraulic analysis on this property that's good for 90 days from June 27, 23, and it states with the location of the property, in order for the customer to get the water, the customer will be required to run a 6-inch line down State Highway 171 down East County Road 1413 to the property. Approximately 1,000 feet would be needed. Cost of this being the owner's responsibility. So what I'm getting at is, I'm not pointing this out to be negative. I'm just pointing this out to some of the problems that we're passing along. We can approve the preliminary plat. It's recommended by our parties, our engineer, our surveyors looked over it. But at the same time, I don't think somebody understands what the cost of.
Evidently, you got to go to Tech Stop and get the right of way and with a lane.
Yeah, I'm going to go to you to get the right of way to lay it because it goes down your county road. And you're right, Tech Stop.
You got to, it's on 171. You got to go to Tech Stop for that. And you got to go come to the market for that right of way.
And that's not the hard part. That's
digging it, planting it, and hooking it up.
And then paying for it. So, but anyway, I point that out for no other reason than to say that we will find there's going to be times. I'm not saying 100% this will be it, but I got a suspicion it might be. That people will get preliminary plats and then they don't act on them within 2 years of operation of law. But so again, I recommend approval because the development committee did recommend approval of this preliminary plat. That is my motion. Second. Motion second. Go ahead and say it.
Is there a way for us to have them post a surety bond or something like that?
If there was a couple for the water, we've not had that in our rules yet, but that is something, the question that did come up at the development committee meeting. For roads, for drainage, clear, we have that information. Or have that in our rules that we can either post bond or do what most people do with the escrow account. But we've not really done it for water before. So we're not going to
your incentive for business name, whatever you want to call it, is The final plat's not gonna be approved until the water's there.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's really the big stick that we hold is you can't sell until you have a final plat, the title's plat. So the title company's local won't close on it. If there's not a final plat on it, or at least they usually won't close them. They've been really good about it. They're really, Micro Title, Hill County Title, Eastland Title, all been really good partners in this, helping us find these issues, and I can't say thank you enough to those folks. But yeah, that's the deal. You want to plat a title otherwise, so. But anyway, so we get a motion second, any further discussion? I'd love to give everybody a rousing oratory regarding what we go through in these development meetings, but you sit in enough of them, guys, you know how boring that stuff can be. But the rules are important, and we're trying to, every time we see something new, I hope the rules talk about this, do we need to put this in? So it's just been a constant tweaking it, yeah, so. All right, well, if there's no further commentary on this, I'll call a question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion carried. We don't sign one there, so we're good to go. That means what everybody wanted to talk about today. Number 13, discussion action and burn ban. Let me just make my position short and sweet. I'm against lifting it right now, guys. I'm paying attention to the fires we've got out in the county. I know there's a lot of green material. I know it's extra work on the sheriffs and constables to enforce it. I get that. How long did it take that 55 acre to light up the other day? An hour, less than 30 minutes? It's just like that, 55 acres. We're consistently having fires, a lot of them along highways, even though it looks green and lush, there's a lot of dead material underneath. Change that, there's a lot. No, lightning is so, we're going to continue to have problems. I'm not saying we won't look at this again on the 10th of October. I'm happy to. My prayer was it was going to rain 3 inches here over this last weekend, and there's some people that might disagree with very few. Our hope is that we don't have to run this to the 23rd of October, but I'm just going to be frank with you. When we put this on tonight today, but I was prepared to do that. I'm still prepared to do it. I know that I've been cussed a couple of times lately, but I got things to burn, piles to burn. Drive by my place, there's piles to burn there too. You know what? They're going to wait. It's just not safe for my neighbors, and it's not safe for me. So, and I guarantee my insurance company would not like it if I lift the dog on this edition in that way. So that's Justin's position. I open the floor. We're DSD number 1, probably the foremost authority in the county. What say you, Mr. Goins?
When is the burn ban that's on right now?
23rd of October.
I think it's so. Go through that. More rain than we really got, and it's been scattered out over the country. You're the part of that more rain than that, which and everything else. It's always going to be that way. Okay, here's what we got coming up right now. The state's going to come in and both sides of the highway. We're gonna lay no grass, no fuel on the side of the road.
Yeah.
We get a cold spell in here. Well, right now the trees are shedding all their leaves. So we got leaves on the ground, we got everything on the ground and everything else. All it's gonna take is a spark.
I agree, and to compound all of it, we have these unusually high temperatures and lower humidity than we normally see at this time of year. And we've had this before, not the first time, but it's unusual. And it just adds to that fuel.
We have 2 more courts coming up before this expires.
Correct.
I would like to see it stay on until the 23rd of October.
Okay.
And that way we can see how much rain we get, because we're going into a rainy season. All that is. Yes, I know. I live in that dry area. The almanac says we're gonna have a cold and wet weather. Almanac is right sometimes and wrong sometimes, but anyway, that's where we are. If we do not get any rain this month, we are going into our worst fire season that we can have, and that's winter.
Yes, sir. What I'd like to do is this, and I respect the opinion of the SD1, and I have today made my opinion very clear that it needs to stay on. I would like to put it on the October 10th agenda, just to have a discussion. If it takes no action, it takes no action. If we have some drastic biblical, throw them up Noah 2 at a time, flood, that changes the dynamic as well. And you're talking, About 14, no, yeah. No, more than that. This was the first meeting, 10, 14 days from today, or more than that. You know, a lot can change, but with the temperatures continuing to be forecasted in the 90s. I have concerns, but I put it on the agenda for just general discussion on that date. And if we don't lift it, we don't lift it. It carries out to its natural conclusion. Part of the thing that Tom pointed out earlier in the comment we made is it's not just the ground conditions and the dry condition. That's bad enough. But then you get a bunch of mud underneath it and you're putting trucks that carry 750 gallons, 1,000 gallons of water off the road. They act more like submarines than trucks, you know, they go down and then we have real problems. So actually getting to the fire in these conditions is one of the biggest issues. When it's dry, at least the ground's hard enough most time we can get to it. But you know, I'm not trying to tell people what they can and can't do, but part of this job is looking out for public health and safety. So I'm just gonna have to wait to burn my piles in my farm. I guess everybody else is gonna have to too. And I hope they understand. So
Make a motion, we don't take any action.
motion and a second for no action. Yes, Mr. Dorn.
We still have the Hill County burn ban idea around here. That burn ban's on, but it rains so we can burn.
I know the poor sheriff department's had to deal with that ideology somewhat lately.
And this is hard to get out of the old timer's head and everything else. That's the way we operate. And well, trust me, I've got piles I need to burn too. They're 10 years old. So I haven't burned.
Pretty soon you got compost.
I'm afraid to, but the thing is we've got to look out, not for us, but for everybody in this county.
I agree wholeheartedly. That's not the question. It's this, what are our neighbors doing?
But they had way more rain than we had.
Yeah, because I got hit up in Clinton County, why aren't you doing? So, well, they jump off the bridge, we jump off the bridge too, no. But they have had a lot more rain that's gone across them, so. I know that our neighbors make decisions what they think is the best interest of their communities, and I get that. But I think the best interest of our community at this time is to keep this burn ban in place for another 14 days until we meet again, and we can discuss it again at that time. And if there's a reason to lift it, I'll consider it, and if there's not, well, we'll just run on the 23rd.
They may also have a few more resources than we have. For example, most departments, volunteers are in Waco at work right now, so.
Yeah, that does make a big difference, you know, when they've got multiple pay departments and we've got two. So, but all right, so at this time, there's just no action on this item. And if that's the will of the court, that's what we're gonna do. Otherwise, anything else before we go towards the big motion, for the good of the group?
Make a motion, adjourn.
Second. Motion is second. We stand adjourned.